Did you know that joy has much to do with your life energy, with how you connect to a positive future, to your life satisfaction, and even to the success of your projects? Hi, I'm Uma. I'm a classically trained shaman and spiritual teacher. And I take my students first, before we go into all the big things, into emotional literacy. And since there were many questions that reached me the last time, I decided to do a YouTube series, which you are in now. Welcome. Today we are going to talk about joy. And before we tap into things like the ancestral consequences of joy or how you can use joy to manifest, I want to dive into our biology or energetic biology with you. In many forms of alternative healing around the world, joy is connected to the spleen. And the spleen is connected to the earth element and to the mother energy. In these traditions, the spleen is the one that helps you turn your nourishment into a life energy. And nourishment, of course, is food, but it is also nourishment that you can get from social contact, from doing things for others, from receiving things from the universe at large. And this is where most people have a blocker. I experience it so often. I mean, coming from Germany, this is normal, but I experience it so often that people think they have to do something or be something to be worth receiving. And growing up, typically German, I understand that, because what we learn since childhood is you first have to work before you can have joy in life, or before you can do fun activities. So even as a child, you're programmed to go to your checklist of to-do things before you allow yourself some recreational time. And of course, this is a mind pattern that drives us into overwhelm and that drives us into energetic emptiness and can then be the cause for many psychological problems or even illnesses. This is not the only blocker that we have to really receive something. And we can have a strong spleen however we want. If we are not able to receive the energy that the spleen is converting for us, then we are not able to lay a good base for joy. So let's dive into this energetic biology a bit deeper. Regarding nourishment, we really have to learn new stuff. When we grow up, we get a lot of sweets, we get a lot of fast food because no one has time to cook properly anymore. And all of that is weakening our spleen. Our spleen loves natural food, loves naturally sweet food, like carrots and potatoes and sweet potatoes, all these warm and nourishing things that grow in the earth. They really support the spleen. And from what I can see is that it's also because it connects us deeper to the earth, because all the vegetables that grow in the earth really have a different power than those who grow above the earth. And then, of course, the spleen is connected to the whole intestinal system. And by eating one-sided food, our intestinal system can have very little flora in our large intestine. We could have problems with the stomach, with the gastric acid. There are a lot of problems that come from one-sided food or from easily available food. And if we have a body nourished by this, grounding is really difficult. But grounding is what we need to use joy to really lift up our frequency energetically. If we want just sparks of joy in our life, then maybe we just can continue with a flat diet. But if we want to experience joy as a baseline in life on which we build up upon, then we need to rethink our diet into something that is healthy and deeply nourishing. And then there is no way around learning what is good for you, which does not mean follow any diet that someone else thought of, but really find out what is nourishing your body, food by food, one step at a time. I know this sounds like, oh my God, this is a life journey. Yes, it is. Because your body will change, and some things might be good for sometimes and then bad for others. In summer you should eat differently than in winter. You know, this is life. But if you do not get to know yourself, who will? And if you found out what is really nourishing you, what is providing you a good grounding on the body side, on the biology side, then we can dive into the energetics of that, in the connections between the other organs. Because, as I said, there are many mindsets that block us from receiving, from being nourished by life. Our planet is very prosperous, but we can be blocked from receiving that prosperity in our systems. So let's take a look at that. If we have a mindset that is resentful against rich people because they have too much, I get that. We really should rethink that in our societies. And resentfulness is blocking energy towards yourself too. It's like, I resent this concept of having so much while I don't have so much, is closing down the whole concept of having much. Now, of course, you just can't flip the switch and say, okay, I like rich people now. let me get rich too. It's not as easy as that. Because resentment is part of jealousy. And for jealousy, we need a whole new video. So keep at it. We will get there. For the moment, just know that this resentment of other people who have more than you can block that something is flowing towards yourself. And part of what is blocking that something is flowing towards yourself is your own story in life. It all depends on the experiences you had when you received something. Did you receive something and then someone else demanded something for it, or owned you in a way? Or did you get the feeling that you are not worth receiving something, so you better say no? Maybe it's a cultural thing. Maybe in your culture you always say, no, thank you, when someone wants to give you something. And then you have a cultural blocker. It actually does not matter where it comes from. We just have to be aware of the blockers to receive something. The awareness is the first step. And then we fine-tune ourselves. What's happening there when I say no if someone wants to give me something? Be it a compliment or a present or something. We can be reluctant to receive in a lot of areas in life. And that is blocking us from joy. It's limiting our joy. What I can tell you from my experience so far in life and with all of my students and clients is that while there is this one side that is reluctant to receive and that has a mindset of why receiving could be bad for you, there will be another side in you that is good in receiving. Because our souls, the energy, our consciousness is a very connective one and is looking to expand our energy. That's the baseline that I learned so far. And that means while there might be this part that is blocking, there's also the part that is longing to receive. And these two can be balanced out. So first off, I would suggest create an awareness for where you are blocking to receive prosperity in any way. And then I would suggest that you find out by checking in your body, like where and which part of this body am I able to receive, which part is longing to receive more. And then just spend some time with that part, talking, breathing into it, do whatever you feel confident in doing. With all of this, we do not want to suppress the side that is blocking us from receiving and just go into this side while ignoring that. Because this side already is in the shadow. Being in the shadow means that something is not in your everyday awareness, in your consciousness when you go through life. We usually are not aware that we are blocking receiving things from others. Only in some situations, for example, when someone gives you something and you have the urge to give something back or else you will not feel good. Then it's in your awareness for a short time, but it's like not sorted. It's like in this foggish area of this is just how you live life. We have to be aware of these patterns that occur. And the more aware we are, the more we pull them out of the shadow. And then we have to work with that. We have to clear that up in a different way. If we just would concentrate on, no, I will be able to receive now. Here, I'm just pouring my attention to this side. Then at the same time, we will be pouring energy into the shadow side because it wants to be looked at. And the good thing is, if we look at the shadow, if we work with it, then we strengthen this part. So that might be counterintuitive to not immediately go into that part that is able to receive, but to have the better way into going into the shadow and from here feeding that part, so this gets lower and lower energy and this gets stronger and stronger, and receiving will be piece of cake for you. That said, joy has a lot to do with your self-worth, with how you treat yourself, with how you allow others to treat you. All of that is the energy that you let in your system. Food, how social contacts function, how much life in general can bring good stuff for you. It is all depending on your ability to receive and to be open for these things. And that, of course, can crack open a lot of hurt that is still in your system. A lot of times where you would have loved to receive, but it came at such a high price. Or maybe you never have received something just from the good of heart, with no demands attached to it. Which means, if you want to open up to more joy and more life satisfaction and higher frequencies that you can tap into, it will also open up where you still carry hurt. Because every time we want to go into light, we also open up the door for shadow. And that needs to be balanced out in a very stable way, so we can set a new baseline for our life. And then the circle closes, because if we want stability, that is earth element. If we want stability, we need to have a good nourishment on which we can build up upon. This is why joy is so important in life. If we want change and transformation and a better health and more knowledge or whatever, the baseline is how we are nourished to really let these energies and these emotions settle in. Let's dive into the cultural history of joy and what you might have experienced in your families in the next episode.